Welcome to What the Health? Where anything health is fair game as we tackle the trends and bust the myths about health and wellness. Here are your hosts, Dr. Dan and Angela Toro.
And welcome to another What the Health podcast. I am Dr. Dan here with my typical co-host,
Angela. Welcome back, guys.
And we have a new co-host today.
Hi, I'm almost Dr. Riley.
Almost Dr. Riley. We had to clarify. But you're like 99% done with the program.
Yeah.
When do you graduate?
In March.
March
of 24.
Yeah, so we got less than 4 months left, and here we go. So, so before we jump into the podcast today, what's been your experience so far in the office?
It's been good. It's good to get out of the actual classes and into real world experiences. The patients you see while in school are completely different than what you actually get to experience in the real world. So it's been an eye opener for sure.
And there goes the dog.
Yeah, and Benson also wants to be a part of today's podcast.
Also didn't want one to feel left out, so he is drinking right next to our wonderful podcast.
Hydration, that's one of our holiday health tips. Stay hydrated.
Stay hydrated.
Everything's
Benson. Thank you. Yeah, so it's like obviously, you're going from the the class setting to much more of like a real life, clinical setting. And so have you felt like you've been able to transition with the skills you learned in school effectively into the, actual office setting?
Yeah, I think they prepare you very well for the adjusting, and they do a pretty good job of making sure you stay on top of communication, but it is still a big leap, and at Life University, it's all chiropractic students or current chiropractors. So jumping to the real world, kind of making sure you can get on the same level as the patients, make sure you're talking to their level of, experience with chiropractic.
Okay. Yeah, people who don't have a full understanding of the spine and nervous system and getting them to understand
it down into lay terms.
Yeah.
So what made you decide you wanted to be a chiropractor?
So I've always enjoyed helping people. I originally was thinking the physical therapy route, but I've been to plenty of physical therapists, and I just didn't see myself doing that. I wanted to do a little bit more, and then the whole holistic side of chiropractic and, being able to help people without medicine and allowing the body to heal itself was a very big eye-opener for me.
Was there something in your upbringing in terms of how you were raised that kind of led you to that?
No, not necessarily. My first adjustment, I think, was in school. I've done some research about chiropractic before going there. My undergrad was in exercise physiology, so the body really fascinated me, and seeing how the chiropractic profession kind of views the body and how they use the adjustment to allow the body to heal itself was just really eye-opening and attracted me a lot.
Yeah, so working with the body, facilitating its own natural healing ability rather than, trying to artificially stimulate it with, drugs or, surgery. And I mean, that's exactly, kind of my progression with it was it's like I was really into exercise in middle school, high school, and then I fell in love with the human body when I took my first anatomy physiology course. And then again, leading into an exercise, science, physiology background, chiropractic was just the next logical progression of that. Seeing how, I grew up taking medication, and Angela and I have had this conversation before. It's like we lived in a pretty typical American household. Like, hey, you have a fever, take this. You got this ache or pain, take this. And it's like, oh, you have this cough, take it. It's like, but looking back on it, the whole hindsight 2020 was, I was actually a fairly sick child growing up. If you actually look at, some of the stuff that I went through, developing asthma, having, pretty significant pneumonia once or twice a year. Like, it was normal, right? That's what we call it. That was the normal in America, right? It's like,
to be on antibiotics once a year was,
completely normal, but it's not healthy, right? That's what we always talk about. And so it sounds like you've really come to that understanding about, look, there's a better way out there to, really get to the bottom of our body, being as healthy as possible and keeping it that way. So, Well, that's awesome. Well, welcome to the office. I'm sure we'll interject a little bit more. What are we actually talking about
What are we actually
today,
talking about
Angela?
today? So, as we're heading into the new year here, it seemed like a great time to have that nice flashing warning light for those people who are getting ready for their New Year's resolutions and to jump back into the gym. So today's episode is don't get jacked up while you're trying to get jacked. So really the idea of, people that go from that 0 to 100. So, warning, making sure that if you haven't exercised for the last year or several years or even several months, not to jump in January 1 and try to do what you did, were able to do 5 years ago or 10 years ago or even 5 months ago if you haven't been active.
Yeah, or you never did it.
Or you never
did weights to get in your life. And
Yes. So really understanding, we've talked about exercise progression. So this is really more of a reminder because, we're heading into that season where you're going to see all the advertisements, all the gyms offering their, come in trials, and the gyms are going to be packed full for those 3 weeks.
Yeah, the Monday after. Well, wait, what day
so
is
New Year's is a Monday.
It is a Monday.
So
then it'll be the following Monday and it'll be packed, right? Because no one starts, everyone will start on Monday, but New Year's Day is still a holiday, so we're going to take that time off, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, so really, and obviously, you guys have the exercise physiology backgrounds as well. So, the importance of making sure that you're really meeting your body where it is. And that's the biggest thing, especially when you're starting an exercise program. We see all the time people come in, they're, coming in with their chiropractic care, they start feeling good. So what do? They try to go right back to where they were before they were coming in, and then they get frustrated because it's like, oh well, I can't do X, Y, and Z like I used to, and reminding people that it truly is a process and a journey, and fitness is one of those things where it's constantly changing. What worked for you in your teens and 20s might not be the program that works for you in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever decade you're in. You really need to take a look. I noticed that with myself. I don't know if you guys noticed that. Brad is the youngest here, but the types of workouts that I could do, in my 20s is not. I look back. I'm like, I would never do that. That hurts to think about.
Yeah.
So
and you also kind of have to tailor them towards your life now. 10 years ago for me, it was all sports. So I'm trying to work out towards those sports. But nowadays, it's just trying to make sure I keep my body healthy.
Before it was, you were training with a specific purpose of competing in a specific sport versus now it's, you have to go to work on Monday. So if you go crazy on the weekends with your training, and you saw that with me when I was fighting. It's I was
limping.
It was
just laying in the back of the office doing recovery,
limping in Monday mornings after some hard sparring sessions. I'm like, I'm good. Just give me a second. So yes, very different. Which is a great point. It's very different if you're training for a specific competition or specific purpose versus just overall health. And
that's huge because it's not all about bigger, faster, stronger.
Exactly.
Once you get through your high school, and if you play collegiate sports, it's like we talk about this, right? An athletic lifestyle and a true high performance athletic lifestyle is not healthy long term.
to
look
at football players. Even golfers. How many professional golfers have we had in that are just again, shoulder issues, neck issues, back issues?
And you want especially those sports that are one-sided. We've talked about that
throwing
before.
Sports,
throwing if you're a quarterback or baseball, volleyball, you're doing hitting. Even basketball is kind of one-sided because you typically dribble and shoot on one side, and so it's like all those one-sided, but especially things like golf, racket sports, where you're constantly putting so much torque through the lower body up through the hips and the lower back. That's why you have golfers like Tiger Woods who've had multiple back surgeries because it's just your body is not made for that constant stress and strain and torquing on it over long term. So
that's another something I wasn't even planning on talking about, but that just made me think of a good reminder because obviously we watch, we're in football season and people we watch professional sports and, you see these players that go out with injuries. I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. They're like, wait, so-and-so was just out with, I don't know if I remember if it's knee injury or heel injury. And they're saying he's going to be back in a couple weeks. Is that even possible? And it's like, well, when you're a professional athlete that has unlimited resources, yes, actually, there's a lot of recovery out there, stem cell injections, PRP, which is platelet-rich plasma, which I've had, there's a lot of different recoveries, cupping, acupuncture. These guys they're spending as much time, if not more, on recovery as they are on their training, and they have a whole professional team and unlimited money and the ability to do that. So yes, for them, again, long term, it's probably not what's going to be best for those injuries, but it is possible to get those people back in as quickly as you're seeing. Yeah. That doesn't translate to the average Joe. So when you hurt yourself, the average person exercising or, just going about your day-to-day life, you need to give it the time to heal properly or you're just going to end up doing more damage in the long run. So I think that's always an important disclaimer because we see, just like seeing, celebrities and how, we watch these people that are in the spotlight and go, well, they can do it. Why can't I?
Yeah, exactly. When even when you watch the progression of like someone like Rocky Balboa, and Erin's gonna laugh when she hears that I bring up Rocky, but I love the Rocky series, and they show his each movie he fought a little bit different style and he tried to train a little bit differently, even from the first movie to the second movie where he was trying to gain more speed and quickness, even to the third when he was training at Apollo was his trainer and he was training to fight Clubber Lang in the third movie. It's like he was gaining more speed and quickness, and then you fast forward to like the most recent one, Rocky Balboa, where it was all strength, big, heavy, slow, powerlifting type stuff, just to get the the muscle built up. So there's different styles and goals that you can meet, but if you're truly trying to lift, what we talk about longevity lifting, if you're trying to try and lift throughout your lifetime, and it's interesting we keep bringing up the muscle, right? The resistance training, because we go back and review. I look at it as a triangle, and you guys can have whatever you think, but like you've got your flexibility, mobility as one tier of a triangle or three-legged stool. You've got your endurance, stamina, and then you have your strength, on the other as kind of like the three tiers of the stool. So, all three of those, if you want to have a good, healthy lifestyle, are very, very important. But a lot of times people are picking, a regimen that revolves strictly around or mostly around one of those points of fitness.
Yeah, and that's intended. People tend to gravitate towards the one that they're most comfortable with, which makes sense. Again, it's we want to do something we feel comfortable, but again, like you said, it's important to incorporate all of that. And I really think, again, when we talk about, I think a lot of people, when you hear endurance, people think, long distance running. And that's what I used to think when I would hear cardio, I'm like, oh God, I hate cardio. But, when I discovered, high intensity exercise training, HIIT training, I'm like, oh no, I like cardio. I just don't like doing it in the like long distance running kind of way. Yeah. So there's different ways, and that's it's so important, because if you're not like Riley was talking about how with the chiropractic, having to explain it to people who don't have a chiropractic background, same with exercise. We sometimes forget, because we all grew up doing sports and grew up in the gym. The average person, if you didn't do sports, you probably were never taught how to lift, how to run, how to how to walk properly. So it's if you feel like that person where you walk into a gym and don't know what the heck to do, that's okay. And that's that's part of what we do, especially what I do as a personal trainer, is really help you understand, one, what are you trying to accomplish? Because you might not even know that. I mean, if you've never worked out, you might not even know why you should be working out and what you should be doing. So even starting with the basics of why is it important to exercise? What are we trying to accomplish short term, mid-term, long term? And then what is going to work for you and your body and your lifestyle and ultimately where you live, because as watching the snow start to come down here, and it's So if you were planning on getting out for a run today, do it now. But ultimately, yeah, that's the biggest thing with exercises is really understanding where you are currently and where you want to get, and making sure that there's a proper progression. If you've never run a day in your life, you're not going to go try to run a marathon tomorrow. So you're gonna, there's, but they have those, like the couch to 5K programs that literally walk you step by step, which is great because that's how it should be. And same as if you're going to be doing lifting or mobility. Mike and I send each other all these crazy mobility videos all the time, and some of them are, hey, we should actually try these, and some of them are, oh my gosh, look at what this person can do. We'll never be able to do that because they have probably been training that every single day for the last however many decades to be able to move their body in that way, which is impressive, but not attainable for the average person who doesn't have the hours and hours to spend in the gym every day.
I think it's important to figure out where you're at. I know everybody is going to be under a lot of pressure from now until January 1st. Everybody sets that goal to start January 1st. If you are unsure about where you're at right now or what you're wanting to do for your resolution, I would not use January 1st as a deadline. I would use because there's less than a month until that deadline's supposed to start. Kind of figure out where you're at, use these next 3 or 4 weeks to figure out what you want to do. Listen to some other people even say their resolution, what they want to do, and that can kind of help you guide you into what you really want and what you need for your health.
Yeah, we talk about this all the time with goals, and this whole idea is that people always want to start on a Monday or the first of the month or the first of the year, and it's like, go, hey, it's Tuesday. Go, go do something. Who cares what happened yesterday? Yesterday's gone. Like, just because it's Tuesday or Wednesday doesn't mean you can't start towards your goal. You don't have to wait till January. Get out for a walk. Go stretch. Move your body in a different way. And if anything, I think it helps get you through these couple months where I noticed that after the Thanksgiving weekend. Just 3 days of eating and drinking way more than we usually do. And for me, not exercising, which to go 3 days without exercise, my body was like, oh my God.
Hey, we went to the park that one day.
We did. Actually, that was great. Running around, kicking the soccer ball around with the nieces and nephews I needed that.
My leg hurt for 3 days straight.
But so again, not using the holidays as an excuse to get totally off. And again, this podcast will be coming out post-holidays, but just as a reminder of, really remembering that, again, it is a process. There's going to be, just because you missed a day, if you missed Monday, I see, again, I follow a lot of fitness groups, and people will post the never miss a Monday, which is a great inspirational, but you know what? Sometimes you're going to miss a Monday. Yes. It's going to happen. And guess what? That doesn't mean you wait till next Monday. That means, okay, Tuesday. Maybe you missed Tuesday too. All right, great. Wednesday's a great day to start. So every day is a good day to start and to really make sure that you're not, setting yourself back to zero.
Well, and again, the other, we always talk about adaptation in the office, right? The simplest definition of health. The people who are better able to adapt, they're healthier, right? You go outside on a cold day, the faster your body can start, adapting to that temperature by shivering, healthier you are. The same thing with heat and on the opposite side. So the better your body has an ability to adapt, the healthier you are. So it goes same thing with our routines. It's like we want to build up a routine so that we can have that structure and just make it make it as easy as possible to get into that routine where we are exercising, or again, we talk about exercise versus activity, but we're doing something to stay active every day, just like brushing our teeth. But, the idea, sometimes we get into our heads like, oh, well, I have to go to the gym, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And again, if you miss Monday, the gym on Monday, like, oh my gosh, does that sabotage my whole week? Or, hey, it's 8:00 at night, you're just getting home from work. Can you get your butt outside and go take a 30-minute walk? Mm-hmm. That is still a legitimate movement.
Throw a yoga routine on YouTube or something.
Yeah. Or if you have kids, do some freaking, push-ups and body squats in the living room with your kids around, Christmas tree, around, while you're watching TV on a commercial break. Like, it's funny, a lot of these streaming services that never had commercials, they're going back to commercials now. So it's like,
well, shoot, now I've got 90 seconds and I can do something. So, and so that's the idea of being adaptable, because again, when you do have a young family, you mentioned before, like, you're in your 20s now, and, it's different now compared to, where you were growing up in sports. And it's like, add another decade onto it and have, young kids and, busy, business practice. It's like, it's just a different, it's a different time in your life that, but it doesn't mean like you shouldn't be doing anything. It just means you need to adapt it to what your current situation is. So, again, we built out a gym down in the basement. So we've got that, access to equipment and weights. But again, it is the easiest thing to do is put your shoes on and go for a walk outside. I don't even put tennis shoes on sometimes anymore. I have a nice pair of sandals that I wear. They're Croc sandals that just have the nice feel, and so I'll throw those on with socks, and I just I like the feel of it.
Aaron loves that.
Oh my God, yeah. So it's like you're talking about dad bod to the max, and I'll be walking around the neighborhood with my sweatpants and socks. But it's like it feels good to get out and just take a walk for a mile or two. And sometimes just doing that on a regular basis makes all the difference. So, being adaptable to your routine, it's like you obviously want to set goals, but if you miss or something comes up, like, don't sabotage your whole week because of that.
Yeah.
Like, what can you do that day to, get right back on track?
Yeah. And be realistic with your goals starting out. Again, if you haven't been exercising regularly, don't expect to be in the gym 7 days a week. It's not going to happen. So start out with something that truly is realistic, 2 to 3 days a week. If you can get yourself doing that regularly and then work up to more, either to longer periods or to more days that you're there. But really being realistic, because that's, the best way to prevent injury, and also to psychologically not get yourself down when you don't immediately meet that goal. So, yeah. So this is your New Year's warning. So be careful as you head into the gym. Don't get overzealous. Be realistic about where you are, especially post holidays. I mean, you're gonna have that post holiday sluggishness, and even if you are active, a regularly active person, I know those are not my best workouts. Those first couple days of the new year. So be kind. We always say treat your body right, and it will take care of you. So
yeah. So and that's again just some of the key things to remember are obviously listening to what's going on. If you're sore in a certain muscle group, maybe you need to take some time to mobilize and stretch that muscle group
versus lifting.
Versus lifting it and putting it through, because some people like do this whole body stuff every day, and it's like maybe you need to cycle through some different body parts, and then again intermix that with some stretching and mobilization, and you'd be amazed at how much just stretching, if you haven't done anything for a while, or have never done anything to move your body, like, doing a simple, stretching or yoga type routine, mobility routine, you can wake up sore the next day because you're activating the muscles. So, but that's a good thing, right? Like we always talk about good soreness versus injury soreness. Yeah. Did a whole podcast on that. Yeah. So, you can go back and check that one out. But, and then the other thing is making sure that you're staying hydrated. It's just this time of year, especially when it's not as hot out.
Yeah, we don't think about it.
We don't think about drinking water as much, and sometimes we're down in the coffee because it's a nice warm drink. But it's like making sure that you're keeping hydrated. Whatever your body weight is, divide it in pounds, divide it by 2. That's the amount of ounces you should aim for. Plus or minus 10 to 20 ounces there. So if you're 200 pounds, you divide that by 2. You should be drinking about 100 ounces a day. So which is more than the 8 ounce, the 8 ounce cups. So, you gotta keep that body hydrated, and you'll feel more hydrated if you're active and moving your body rather than just, sitting around on the couch all day. So, those are a couple of things, just for injury prevention to think about, and as always, like ask, whether you have a spouse, whether you have a friend, whether you hire a trainer, like get someone who's going to hold you accountable to your plan, because the accountability is what's going to keep you showing up day to day, week to week. If you don't hold anyone accountable, I have a guy in my men's group that, always says, I have, how does he put it? I have the, greatest ability to deceive myself. And it's like, and we just all do as human beings. It's like we can reason our way out of through or out of anything.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
so by having someone who's going to hold you accountable, they're going to hold your hand when you need it or kick you in the butt when you need it. And that's we always discuss that as well. So anything else to add with your background and fitness and routines? And
No, Angela made a good point of don't start out, crazy, like I'm going to go bench press and squat, a bunch of weight. I've done that, plenty of times, and I regret it. And it keeps me out of the gym. If you put any resolution, I want to go 3 or 4 days a week, but you work out super hard that first day.
You're done.
1, maybe 2 days that week.
Yep.
And then another point with being held accountable, that's what social media could be good for. If you're not, afraid to post yourself on Facebook and say, somebody hold me accountable. Not only are you helping yourself, keep that routine going, you're probably going to pull maybe 2, 3 more people into actually helping themselves out rather than, them being on the keyboard on the couch and just motivating you. They might come and join you sometimes. So.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a whole community of people that's really what it's all about. And and especially if you start going to a gym regularly, and again, it always becomes a community. People are going to see you; they're going to know when you're not there, and it makes you want to go more when you have that. When you have that community of people that are holding each other accountable.
Well, that was our whole purpose for creating the space that we're in process of creating right now. Right, I think we can officially say we're calling it the Shift Room, right? With spinal healing, intuitive functional training.
Yes.
Right? So, but we're creating an entire space on our current property where our office is, and it's going to be designed around just that. It's, around a community of movement, of training your body the way it's designed to be trained. And that coupled with the adjusting and what we're trying to do with the, with getting your spine in line and moving and getting your nervous system, functioning at its best. It's all around helping you get healthy and stay healthy. So, having that community of people, it's always funny, when we get people walking in the reception room and, people who haven't seen each other for years, and they're like, hey, they end up meeting each other, or they start, you have people who show up at the same time for their appointments, and they start getting to know each other and, asking how they're doing. And so it's just a really cool way to see that community build each other up. And
it's just one of the many ways that we do things differently, and it really works out.
Yeah. Community-based healing. Yep. So, all right. Well, if any of this, got you, resonated with you, and, you've got more questions, feel free to reach out to us as always. Turo, Turo, familychiropractic.com. Check out our other podcasts. We've got a lot more information out there. Sometimes we feel a little bit repetitive doing these, but these reminders are always good. And as always, we'll see you at the next one.
Thank you, guys.
Yep. Thank you.
You've been listening to What the Health with Dr. Dan and Angela Toro, brought to you by Toro Family Chiropractic. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.whatthehealth.world.